All right, MYB, thank you for coming back. We're now at episode 220 of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. I'm your host, Champ Ron. We're recording this on a Saturday, November the 14th of 2020. So we're halfway through. We're coming up on the meat of the holiday season with Thanksgiving and then the Christmas holidays for those that celebrate those here in the United States and then abroad. Subscribe to the podcast, 5-star, 5-star. Helps us continue to grow the MYB community. And of course, you can always visit me at champronbrooks.com. Hope things are going well for you. I hope you're finding positivity in the things that you're engaged in. And I hope this finds you in good health and good spirits. I know we're seeing cases rise of the virus going around. So for everyone that is dealing with that or has dealt with that, I know this has been a trying year, to say the least. But there's positivity all around as well. And so, but definitely shout out for those of you that have dealt with it personally. It's hit home. You've had family members deal with it, friends, other loved ones, and that sort of thing. So we're definitely, heart goes out to everyone dealing with this, and we'll get through it if we're, going to be diligent about the business of the kingdom. We'll get through this. And so I am excited about today's guest that's joining from the DMV, from Washington, D.C. Used to be Chocolate City, but I don't know. They're getting a little bit of a swirl now.
Yeah, but no, it's girl.
But Minister Isaac Wilson Jr. joins today. He is the author of The Challenges of Fatherhood. And so we want to get into that topic today. So for those of you that are fathers, for those of you that are father figures, so you may not have biological children, but you serve as a father figure in whatever role or capacity that's in. For those of you that are mothers or your mother figures, this is a good one to take a listen to. So, bring the whole family. And pull up. So if you listen to this by yourself, you may want to listen to it and then bring in the whole family, because we're going to, Minister Wilson and I are going to have a tremendous dialogue here. But listen, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out on this Saturday morning to join me.
Hey, man, I'm thankful to be here. Glad that you allowed me to be on your show today.
Yeah, absolutely. And this episode is sponsored by Liv Almagro, who's our super public relations contact, who has been a part of this podcast from the very beginning. She joined me on episode 100 back when, and we had a great time, and she's been tremendous in connecting me with great guests that we've been able to have great dialogue on this podcast. So, Mr. Wilson, let's jump into your background, man. Tell us how you came up, tell us your story and your pathway to get to where you are today.
Yeah, well, born in the DMV area. I was pretty much raised in the church. My parents, my mom and dad, they both lived. They stayed married. They've been married for almost close to 40 years now. My mom, she passed away literally about 7 years ago. I grew up in Southeast DC, which was known as a pretty rough area. It still is to this day, not as bad as it used to once was. But and I went to DC public school, H.D. Woodson Senior High School here in DC, and I did go to college. I played football, baseball, and I did get a football scholarship. But when I went to school, I wasn't as focused as I should have been, and I didn't really, school wasn't for me. I always tell people, I mainly went to school because I think that because my parents wanted me to go. I really wasn't a school person. I just went because I thought that was a good decision, that my parents wanted me to do. I wanted to make them happy, but ultimately I realized that, I needed to want that myself, and I just didn't. School just was not my thing for whatever reason. And so I did take some courses, and God called me into the ministry when I was like about 24, and I did my first trial sermon in Washington D.C., a church called First Rock Baptist Church,
Yes.
um, over in Southeast as well. Told the pastor, I said, I believe God has called me to the ministry, and he said, "You sure?" And so I've been telling him I had began to have visions and dreams, and just God kept pulling and tugging on me, prompting me to surrender my life to Him, and so I finally did, and so I just began to do a lot of studying and you know and dedication to getting to know Jesus more about
Hmm.
the Lord, and I just continue to grow, and God just began to reveal and inspire me over the years. I did hit a period where I fell off, and it's just like when I went through the divorce period of
Hmm.
being married and divorced,
Yeah.
I just kind of like went to a backslidden state,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want nothing to do with church, I don't want to see no church people or anything. So over time, God began to deal with me, and if you know the story of Jonah,
Yeah.
things just wasn't going well. So God said, one way or the other, you're gonna. I got a job for you to do. So
Right.
I accepted the plan that God has for my life, and here I am today, writing books to inspire and try to open people's eyes, and those sort of things. So
Yeah.
to God be the glory.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And
Mhm.
so brother, you have this transition, man, where you're not really engaged in school. School is probably more of a requirement for you to be able to play sports and do
Yeah,
different things, So we definitely know how that is. No doubt, no
yeah,
doubt. Yeah, I'm interested in, kind of the part of your story where you transition into ministry because, you know,
mhm,
for someone who didn't really embrace academics, but you
mhm,
embrace the study of theology, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So where did you develop that passion? Was that something that you always kind of had, and it was just really just about the subject matter? So because there's a
Um,
difference between studying sometimes the things that we study in school and then
yeah,
studying things that you have a passion about.
yeah. My dad, he was a deacon. He started off as a deacon in the church, and then
Okay.
he wound up becoming a pastor. He's a pastor. His church is called Perfecting of the Saints Deliverance Ministry here in DC, and help him out a lot uh, there with his ministry and so forth. And my brothers and sisters, we all work in the ministry together. My two other older brothers, they're ministers as well. My sister, they pretty much sing and handle the music aspect of the ministry and so forth. And so it's kind of like a family thing where we all have play some part in uh, in the ministry.
Hmm.
Uh, but my dad would wake us up, and I remember being in the sixth grade. My dad would wake us up to have Bible study 7 in the morning, and
Okay.
I'm looking at this man like, "Are you crazy? I'm still sleeping. You want to talk about the Bible? Are you?" So,
Right.
those things, it was a foundation that I didn't realize was being instilled in me, and going to Sunday school, vacation Bible school, and those things. It just had I had a good foundation that allowed me to to not really stray far.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. No doubt. Well, how was it when you were delivering and preaching your first sermon? Tell us a
Oh
little bit
wow.
about that because,
Um,
I mean, kind of your first time, live now,
yeah,
so you think about the first time you were playing ball, maybe the first time you played varsity, or maybe the first time you got into the game in college.
yeah,
Those first are always interesting, so
yeah. It
tell us
was
a little bit about that.
very nervous. But when you stand up, I think like I was told, you always had some form of nervousness.
Yeah.
But when the Spirit of God takes upon you and empowers you to do things, you just part of yourself is just moved out of the way, and God just speaks through you.
Yeah.
And that's what I just always continue to do, even now when I'm doing this interview. I just allow myself to get out of the way, and whatever God wants to say to the people, I just allow them to do so. Even when they're writing books, they're all inspired by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote this. I mean, but the Bible says I can do all things through Christ. So a lot of things I do is through Christ.
Yes.
You
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, and
know?
you spoke, kind of openly about, the divorce. And I know a lot of people can relate to when a relationship divides, right? And
Yeah,
the pain, the emotions, everything that goes along with that. I think, obviously a
yeah,
lot of people listening can relate to that. Talk about that, a little bit more about that period of your life,
yeah.
brother, and kind of, you mentioned this sunken place that you kind of went to where you backslid and
Yeah,
went away from the things of the cloth that you had developed for so many
hmm
years. And so talk about that, and what really kind of inspired you to do that 180 and kind of get back on track.
yeah. Well, yeah. The divorce, it was a disappointing thing to me, and I was like, man, it was supposed to work.
Yeah.
How did it not work? Or what did I do my research, or did I do something wrong, or
Right.
it just didn't work? And I just felt like began to kind of sort of blame God, like, God, how you let me hook up with this woman, and and get to this place where though it's like I'm like at rock bottom,
Yeah.
and and so I just was kind of like, I guess I would say I was a little bit angry with, I guess I
Yeah.
was angry with God, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, I don't want no parts of the church, man. That's like he let me down. But then, God has a way of getting our attention,
Yeah. That he does.
like that burning bush with Moses. Like, hold up, that
Right.
bush is on fire, but it just keep burning. But
Hmm.
God got my attention. I think my mom passed, which is
Mm.
about like I said, about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
Um, God just began to deal with me, and he said he put something in me that he has a job for me to do, and I just like I just rededicated my life, because my mom used to always want me, when you gonna come back to church, and I was like, I will, when I get, I will. I just used to just keep putting it off, but then
Right.
when she left, and she went on to glory, I just rededicated my life, um, and commitment back to God. And I was like, there's nothing else out here. You keep running and doing this and that, but it's nothing else out here. So
Right.
um, I just rededicated and recommitted my life, and here I am.
Yeah, there you go. And so, with the book, the challenges of fatherhood,
Hmm
and as as Black fathers, I'm a Black father. You are. There are many that are listening that are Black fathers, or in relationships with Black fathers, or marriages with Black fathers, or interact with Black men who are fathers on a daily or weekly basis.
hmm
Talk to us about the book, brother, and how that
Okay.
came about. What was the inspiration behind the book?
The inspiration was, God inspired me because, I just would always see, when I went to different events at my son's school, and then I would just see some of the kids, and they would just be saying, "That's your dad," or, you know, and they'd be like, "Wow." I say, and I used to hear the kids say, "Man, I don't even think my dad gonna show up."
Yeah,
And so when I hear the conversations that the kids, they had amongst their peers, and I was saying, "Wow," I said, well, "Where are the fathers?
yeah,
Where are the dads at?" I mean, the mom, quite naturally, she's there, but it's nothing like when you have both of your parents there supporting you or coming to your games and different events. So I just like, wow, where are the fathers at? Why are
yeah,
the fathers not in their position, in the home? So God, I began to ask God, why is it that there's not many fathers in the home today and absent in their kids' lives, not actively involved in their lives to support them and encouraging them and loving on their kids, you know. So that was part of the inspiration of this book. And so, I wrote this book to inspire and inform, and it's kind of like a night of fire under the men to compel them to try to get back into their position as being a father to their children.
Yeah.
Because along the way, sometimes, I realized through different circumstances and events that some men, they have gotten discouraged or just have given up, you know, or in their process, and there's different things involved with that as well. But
Right.
some men just have given up, you
Yeah.
know.
And that's why I wanted to ask you, Brother Minister, is what do you think contributes from your perspective, what contributes to um the notion that black men don't embrace or that, I don't want to say they don't embrace, because one thing I want to make sure we manage with from a narrative standpoint is that there are a slew of tremendous black fathers, right,
Right.
that are
Hmm.
active, like you say, in homes. They're active and leaders with their significant others, as well as with their child or children. And so,
Hmm.
oftentimes there's, there's one piece of the narrative that kind of gets out there that kind of get this blanket, we tend to use that as human beings, right? We tend to
Hmm.
operate in the outside the bell-shaped curve, and we like to say, all of this and all of that.
Yeah.
And so, I always want to be careful with, not really perpetuating that narrative, but for the
Hmm.
men who made choices to not be involved, which I think that's where you're focusing.
Yeah.
For those men, what do you think contributes to them making that choice or decision to not be involved with, their children?
Some of it is just not possibly just not having certain priorities together or at that particular time, and also the other aspect of it is sometimes when you have when when you separate from the kid's mom, sometimes it's the disappointment and the hurt that they experience, and not being able to co-parent uh, together once the marriage or even the relationship is ended.
Mm-hmm.
Some men are challenged by the co-parenting with their mom and so forth, things of that nature. As far as you got some women that when I talk about this in the book, three
Yeah.
types of women that creates a serious challenge uh, in co-parenting, and that's a cantankerous woman, a controlling woman, and an unforgiving woman. And
Mm-hmm.
those three type of women, they create a challenge sometimes for fathers to be able to co-parent and work along together in raising a child.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just I just touch on those two or maybe a few things
Yeah.
uh, well as a co-parenting being the biggest one involved.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and what's interesting with that when you say that is, there are challenges with, at times where women will have, and again, these things stem from so many, and I'm not the psychoanalyst, of course, but there's so many different areas and lanes that and approaches that women sometimes can take, and men do too, when things don't work, right, and things,
Yeah.
you have an expectation on one end that then isn't met, right, and there's embarrassment, there's pain, there's all those things, the emotions that get wrapped up into it, and oftentimes from that, along with things that may stem from even before the relationship, can contribute to how people react, right? And it's
Mhm.
that reaction that then seals in their heart, and then that's how they approach it going forward. I've always been one that almost irregardless to that, that can create barriers and obstacles. But I've always, worked to kind of compel men to, minister to rise above that. And that as a leader, you demonstrate the proper behavior, even if she's not receptive to that or is not of the understanding of that, which she may be, if she's inspired. If she's not, um, either way, to make sure you do your best effort, right?
Yeah.
And there's some cases where men allow that to be a level of an excuse that they lose the energy, and I can understand that they lose the energy and kind of passion to try, right, and to keep progressing towards it. Um, and so, what's kind of your thoughts there? Do you see that as well?
Yeah.
Where men, can, kind of rise above, even if the significant other, right, or the
Mhm.
mother of the children may not be, at least at that moment, may not have the understanding of that leadership.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a part of the book also, like I said, is to help men to be able to understand their roles of being a father and a husband and playing that leadership role. A lot of men may not have had a good example set before them to
Hmm.
somebody to set the standard or teach them about how to be a father or how to be a husband to their children or be a good husband to their wife. And some men may not have had a good example on that. So, they just do the best that they know how. And like I said, a lot of women may ask, well, how is it that you want me to follow you? But you don't even know where you're going. You don't even have a vision
Right.
yourself as to, you want me to submit to you and to treat you like the king of this castle, but you're seeing as though you're lost and
Right.
everything not together. So why should I follow behind? And so it keeps but so like I said, the being taught is and having somebody in your life to be able to sit down with you and explain to you, be able to communicate with your family members and so forth. It's very vital, to have
Yeah.
somebody like a spiritual father or a mentor or somebody who you can go to when you lose your way and be able to get back on track.
Yeah, and you touch on a few really strong points there, brother. With in terms of women, making that claim, and I agree with women. If a man does not have the leadership vision, right,
Hmm.
and does not demonstrate that and exude that, one of the things I always say, and I say this to my lady family members, is you've got to know, with men, you've got to know, what does he value? What does he value today? Not what
Hmm.
you give him, right? Because some women, I think, tend to believe that if you put a man on the throne, that he's going to become king just because you
Hmm.
put him there, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't, if you do that and you knight the man yourself, you may miscast, right? And so one of the
Hmm.
things that sometimes can happen is women put men on thrones who
Hmm.
really are more jackals, right?
Right.
Um, they're outside of their role, right?
Mm.
And so what you have to do is get to a point in, where you're evaluating for men and for women, like the dating period and all that, and that's a whole different subject. But
Yeah.
there's a piece of the evaluation period that people have to look at the heart of people. Like, how do people react? I share this, brother, and I'd love to hear your
Mm.
thoughts on it. People, I think, sometimes miss. They get so superficial because we're in such an individualistic, focused society,
Mhm.
where our pronouns are me and I, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so that evaluation, often is can be tainted, and I think people have to get to a point where they look at, and at a younger age, right? We tend to
Mhm.
figure things out when we get older and we've been through a
Right.
lot of stuff. We get to be,
Yeah.
40 and 50, and then, oh, now, because then it becomes, what happens is, with a lot of things, especially with black folks, is we become influenced by branding, right? And so now it
Mhm.
becomes cool to be mature, right?
Right.
Where it doesn't, we have to get to a point where we understand things, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a cool factor to it.
Okay.
um but I think that people miss things because they don't look at the character of things. They don't look at how people handle anger, how they handle disappointment, how they handle embarrassment,
Right.
right? Those are the things that are going to be, key. Go back to sports, right?
Yeah.
um a guy can be great, and this, because I know this too. There were guys that were great in practice, but when the game came on, and now you got a referee and there are people in the stands, and
Yeah,
now everything counts, and the ref's going to call, go throw flags in football, or go call fouls in basketball, and
yeah,
you're playing against another guy that you maybe haven't seen before. It's different, So there were guys that were great, in
practice.
practice, but not on the field, and then vice
Right.
versa. There were guys that were. I remember playing with a guy that was tremendous when the game came on, but in practice, if you went and watched him, he'd be getting dogged out, in practice, right? But
Yeah.
somehow when the game came on, he needed that adrenaline rush. He needed people in the stands. He needed people
Hmm.
booing him, and he needed the coach yelling and all that. And I think that
Right.
translates to personal life. What's
Yeah.
kind of your thoughts on some of that, man?
Yeah. Like I said, you have to prepare yourself at all times for a lot of things. Cause a lot of we like I said, I was talking about the priorities. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
get the priorities together. A lot of men, like I said, I see sometimes some brothers they sit out on the corner for 7 to 8 hours. And I said, wow. I said, wondering like you could be using that time wisely, to be able to take care of your family, because ultimately, like the women, they get tired of having to take on a role and take on your responsibility as well because you're not willing to get your priorities together. You would rather have her take on the responsibilities and the load. And like you
Mhm.
were saying, the woman she want to put him on a pedestal to make him look good, but ultimately, at the end of the day, she's really not totally happy with him being with what he is because like I said, some men don't mind a woman taking care of,
Mhm.
and as a man, you will want your man to first be in a position to be able to first be able to take care of you and the family is first. It's not so much women, not so much how a person look. When you talking about selecting a husband or just
Mhm.
being a father figure, but you have to establish yourself to be a role model now to your children as well.
Mhm.
In a lot of aspects, by preparing and putting yourself in a position to be able to take care of your household and your family.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know where that note, and maybe it's not a new notion, but I think that there's always angst and concern with men that are just okay, um, being supported by their woman, right, or the women in their family,
Hmm.
but then at the same token want to be leaders and want to be respected.
Yeah.
Um, and so, to gain women's respect, you have to be transparent, you have to be honest, and you have to be able to demonstrate and showcase vision with good character, right? It doesn't mean perfection. And
Right.
oftentimes, what happens with people is we kind of have, again, we have this all or nothing, black or white. It's either got to be perfect or it ain't nothing. You know what I mean? And there's
Right.
no person, that is going to be around that is going to do everything perfectly or the way that
Hmm.
you may like it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as men, right? As men, in leadership is not about being, as a dominant figure, and it's not
Hmm.
about, I say it, and so that's how it goes. Um,
Right.
there's many forms of leadership, but the biggest piece of leadership is that vision and that accountability and the
Right.
ability to, women will go along with, and they'll be with you because, one thing about women is, when they're engaged and they're supported, they going all the way, and the women will do. That's just how how they're made up. They go
Hmm.
hard. They'll ride hard for a man that's got vision. The mature, women, right? You're not
Right.
talking about little girls or you know, females. You're talking about
Hmm.
a grown woman will go with a man that's got vision, right? Can demonstrate that is consistent, is honest, and operates in good character. She will go along and she'll ride with him. And even
Yeah.
through his mistakes, as long as he can openly admit his mistakes with valor, right? And and transparency, and he can adjust his behavior to demonstrate that he's learned how to move forward. And I think a lot of men miss that piece of it. And society and media paints people and like you say, you get women come from all kind of different places, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, women, or men make women, very homogenous. They're all going to be this way or all going to be that way, right? And I think, like I say, I'm a big proponent of men, simply being leaders. And if you're doing those things, it's not about being a simp or being weak or nothing like that. If you're doing those things in your house, being a leader and showcasing the vision, and she doesn't understand that, or
Mm-hmm.
that's not part of her makeup, then you're not really on the same path, and you got a decision to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I said, you see a lot of single households now, and the dynamic now is, you know, you may have some men that may not want to deal with a woman who has children, and
Hmm.
some men that does not mind being a stepfather, but it's a new thing now that people, which can be complicated for some people if you don't understand it. When you meet this woman, you take on a whole package deal, so to speak, and you have to, still be able to love her children as if they're your very own. You adopt them because, the one thing we don't realize as parents that our kids are watching us when we least think they are. They're watching
Right.
us in all times, and so, we got to be able to still demonstrate character before them. Uh,
Hmm.
and it starts in the home, because
Right.
like you said, now it seems like the internet and the video games are raising the children now, because
Hmm.
I understand that some people have to do what they have to do, maybe working 2 or 3 jobs.
Right.
But when both parents are working together, it should help relief, give her some type of relief and stability to be able to both spend time effectively with one another and their family.
Yeah, those are tremendous points too, brother minister. And I would add to that to say that, working together, yeah, and that's where, we have to get to as a society and as a nation, is we've got to get back to working together, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's difficult when, again, we've had decades of this individualistic, approach that, I mentioned earlier, where it's about self, right? And everyone wants
Right.
to protect, right,
Mm-hmm.
themselves and insulate themselves. Um, but we've got to get back to working together, and then there has to be an embracing of accountability.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what you find is that with men and with women, we point missiles at each other, right? We point fingers, we
Yeah.
point missiles, everything else, you know what I mean, at each other. Versus, how can we work together? Because, like you say, we have to have a longer term mindset, oftentimes, than what we have. We get caught
Mm-hmm.
up in the moment, and social media perpetuates that, because social media is a snapshot in time, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
time is now, right?
Right.
Social media is not a future, kind of focused medium, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a now to the past
Yeah.
medium, right?
Yep.
Because you can't post for the future today, right?
Right.
So if you and I post something right now, it's going to be from something that's happened either right this moment or from the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it perpetuates that whole individualistic, kind of piece in our mindset. And to work together again, you have to be long term minded and think about the impact, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where, I think your book can have, great power, is that it can help people begin to think beyond just what's in front of their nose,
Yes.
and the fear of what others may think about them by, engaging in that leadership, which I think that's what sometimes happens with men. They get
Mm-hmm.
concerned about the labeling, right? They get concerned about, the boys, the peer pressure, right? What the mans may say, oh man, you doing that with her, she this, and this, or
Mm-hmm.
man, what's up with that? You simping, man, you doing this, you
Yeah.
doing that. And that becomes such an influence, sometimes that, and something else to go along with this is, women, I've seen this a lot online, where women want other men to check other men, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thought behind that is that, well, because you're a man and he's a man, that he's going to listen to you, because I'm at my end. I can't say nothing else to him.
Right.
Um, and there is a level of truth to that. Although one of the things about men that's a little different from women. Women are a little bit more influenced by each other, right? They do a better job of having, kind of their own groups and stuff like that,
Come
where
together,
they
yeah.
talk about things that are important to them that may even be embarrassing that they wouldn't talk in public, but they talk amongst themselves. And so they have a much
Mhm.
better support because they're kind of homogenous in things that they go through. Men, we're not good at that, right? And I think you kind of
Right.
talked about that earlier. We
Hmm.
tend to kind of, even though we have our boys and stuff like that, we tend to kind of talk about certain subjects or things like that. We don't really dig into the emotional side or things that we're going through, right?
Yeah.
We'll get together and we'll talk about, sports, we'll talk about women, we'll talk about business, we'll talk about, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
A lot of sometimes superficial stuff, but we
Yeah.
don't get into things like fatherhood. And then um, you can even check a man, for his decisions and things like that, which we have to be better at. But ultimately, that man makes his decisions on his own, right?
Yeah.
And he may not even share that the things that he may be out doing for fear of being checked by, other men, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dynamics to this, man. But what are some of your thoughts on that whole notion of how, um, men, and in relation to fatherhood, how we don't necessarily have that, and we fail to create that environment to have that conversation so that there can be accountability, right? Because
Yeah.
again, and I'll let you talk, but
Hmm.
like for me, I don't really associate with men that I've been married almost 14 years. I've got three, so I'm not really
Okay.
around men who don't take care of their children, right?
Okay.
Because those men know I'm gonna say something, right?
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? So like they're not
Yeah.
gonna hang
So
around me,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Now I come across young men all the time, right?
Hmm.
But then, like you say, they're not really engaged with me because we don't hang out like that. See, women, like you say, they kind of cross. A woman will make, you know, um, she'll be doing this type of role or she'll be this in the company, but she's still kind of
Hmm.
hanging out and doing some things. Men tend to get to a point where, like you say, that environment tends to change sometimes in terms of how much time you spend with them. Not that you're not still connected in the neighborhoods and stuff and with some of your past, but the amount of time that you spend with them, what I mean, sometimes evolves. And so you don't always get that opportunity. And I think we have to be better at that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But like I said, the accountability is so key. Just some men you feel as though you can't tell. Some men feel as though you can't tell them anything, and they don't want you to tell them anything. And it just understanding what knowing and understanding knowing what a real man is. Some men have different definitions of what a real man is. Some men think that because they have a baby here, a baby there, that they're a real man, But if you're not taking care of these babies that you're bringing into the world, that doesn't make you a real man. It just really it's just like you're just like a sperm donor if you're not taking care of your obligations and your responsibilities. Because I see and I hear of a lot of men that have children here and children there, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not spending quality time with them. They're not helping support the mom in no form or fashion at all. So that's not what being a real man is. And so, but having somebody, in their life to be able to show them and teach them and
Mm-hmm.
explain to them what being a real father and husband is, they don't know, just the same way as you have a man that likes to beat on women, and they have with the domestic abuse thing, which is so
Right.
great, these days. It's the domestic violence, and the man just feel as though, okay, you got to beat on a woman for her to listen to you. And there's some men that may have saw that in the home and they just assume or taking a role that, okay, this is the right way, what I should be doing because my father did it to my mother. And,
Mm-hmm.
he dogged her out, and, she still stayed with him. So maybe, this is what, how a household should be ran. But ultimately, that's the wrong way, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just a learn something that he learned to accept or think that was right, especially if no one has corrected him and sat down and told him, no, you don't put your hands on women under no circumstances. Or you supposed to love and show affection to a woman as well as your children, and those type of things. And so I agree. There's a lot of conversations that need to be had with some men. It's they don't they haven't had them with someone until it's too late. When they're behind bars or in a bad situation or bad state, then that's when they're willing to listen. But in the early stages, some things could have been addressed early on to avoid them being in certain positions in life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And brother minister, one of the things that's helped me, or that helped me, and then continues to help me, was that I had a circle of accountability. Even early on. I got married at 26 years old, and I'll be 40 here in 2 months. So I had a circle of accountability, whether it's my father-in-law, my dad, other men who either had been already married or have gotten married even since. So I'm around that nucleus of accountability, and I share this with my wife all the time, that it's not about again, that perfection. Right. What it is that when you've got a inner circle of accountability, think about it, and what's interesting about it is men know this from when they play sports. When men play
Mhm.
sports at a high level, there's an accountability factor of coaches, trainers, other players, whether they're rival players or teammates. Like if we're going to go work out, the influence in that circle is going to say, hey, we're going to work out. You're going to be the oddball if you say, hey, I want to go to the club and I want to go drink and I want to go do whatever. You're now the
Mhm.
oddball, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
now, because that's not what everybody else is doing, right?
Right.
So there's an accountability that, hey, we need to go work on our games, brother, because we got to get better. These other dudes cross town, they getting better. They go be
Exactly.
working. You know what I mean? So we
Uh-huh.
create this account, but then and when we get to the personal life, we tend to not take that same approach. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We don't take that same approach of accountability,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, I've got to, I'm doing this for the kids, I'm doing this for the family, and we've got to do that early. That's the
Hmm.
thing. I think that's really the point you and I are making is, sometimes we never learn it, but oftentimes we learn things and we appreciate and engage them too late.
Right.
You know what I mean? We wait until, like you say, women will want me to talk to, their guys after something has happened and after, they're right about the edge, about to jump off. Right.
Hmm.
What about early on? Right. Set up. So one of the things I implore men and women is like you talked about mentorship, brother. You got to have the mentorship, but you got to create this circle of accountability. And it's not just about talking to somebody after something's happened, right? That
Hmm.
that can be in order, but then what happens is men are going to shut down because if they don't have the relationship with you, that's going to come off as preachy, or now you went and involved all these other people. Now he's going to get mad, right?
Hmm.
Because now you telling my business to
Exactly. Yeah.
Ron, you tell my business to Isaac, and now they calling me, and I don't really know these dudes like that. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think that, I have a circle of accountability that if I were to go outside of who I am and what I should be doing, they are men that are going to check me, both younger, my age, and older within my
Hmm.
accountability circle. And so if I even think that I want to go do something wrong, right,
Hmm.
I have to take a step back, brother, and say, well, I'm gonna have to answer to, you know what I mean?
So
But
many
see,
people.
what I've
Yeah.
seen in my family and even beyond in my friend circle is when men and women, but especially with men, when there's not a circle of accountability that he's got to address, right? So if I wanted to go do something unscrupulous to and that's going to impact my family, there are men that I have to address with that.
Exactly.
If I've got, it's kind of like my dating thing. You were laughing about, I got the 3 daughters and they're going to soon be
Yeah.
teenagers, right? One of the
Yeah.
things that's different, and you remember this being young and dating, in them teen years. If you go to a girl's house and she ain't got nobody but aunties around, and you know how some of these aunties are, they still want to be
Mhm.
out playing the game too. So she's
Right.
going to be encouraging, like, she may not engage the accountability because she's so hung up on wanting to get the next man,
Right.
right? Versus if you go to someone's house and her dad's there, and he's not just there, but he's engaged. He knows
Exactly.
what's going on. He's in shape. You know
Yep.
what I mean? He ain't just sitting there, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he wants to know. He's asking questions. He wants to know about
Exactly.
you. And you got to address him.
Hmm.
If you decide to do something, you're gonna have to deal with him. Right.
Hmm.
So now you got a different perspective. You know what I mean? It's just like going
Exactly.
to the Lakers, a few years ago, and you already know before you get to the game, you got to deal with Kobe Bryant. Like
Mm.
you got to deal with him for real. Now, if
Yeah.
you
So
get
you
to the
get,
Lakers and ain't nobody on there and it's just a bunch of dudes, that's one thing. Oh, we playing the Lakers. You know what I mean? You
right,
know what
right.
I mean? But when you get there, now you got to deal with Shaq and Kobe and these dudes. You prepare different
You got to
because
be
you're going to have
prepared.
to deal with them. You already
Right.
know. And I think that's something that lacks a lot of times for both men and women
Hmm.
is like you talked about in the household, your brother minister, there has to be that level of accountability. So that's the only difference. Like I tell people, it's not about perfection. It's not that I was so great and everybody, all these other dudes were so bad or this dude's so great. Oftentimes, the only difference is the level of accountability around him that he's got to consider.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're
And
gonna have
dudes look
to.
for ways to get around the accountability, right?
Yeah.
That's
And he
natural
can't
human nature.
manipulate the situation. He can't manipulate the situation as he probably thought he could,
Yeah,
because that's what happens with a lot of um, men, and they see the situation. There's no dad or no male figure around. They feel as though they could manipulate the situation or a woman, and
right.
they just feel as though somebody to challenge them,
Mm-hmm. You're
about
right.
what are their vision, or what do you have your plans for being with this person. And so a
Right.
lot of times women uh, overlook a lot of the questions that the man will make sure that he asks or addresses the man with.
Right. And you touch on that really good point, and I'll speak about this personally again, and then I want to hear your thoughts too, brother minister. Is like I say, my daughters are 10, 9, and 8, right? They're only a few years away from getting into all this, right? And
Yeah.
so my vision in leadership, along with my wife's, is that they learn lessons early. Like I'm a big believer in instilling confidence in people early. I mean, you
Right.
know this personally, you know this professionally. Confident people, and when I say confidence, they're confident in their ability to make choices and decisions,
Mm-hmm.
even when the information may not be prevalent to them right now. Because oftentimes you have to make critical decisions and things when you don't have full information. Like I say, it's easy when you can survey. That's why 2020 vision is clear, right? Because you're looking back, you've got all the information because it's the
Right.
past, right? But when you're in the present, or even if you're looking towards the future, one of the things is having that that support,
Mm-hmm.
and again I go back to that accountability piece. But for my daughters, they need to be able to learn lessons early, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to learn them, wake up one day and you're 44. You know what I mean? And that's cool. It's great. You have to
Absolutely.
be able to learn. But the earlier you learn the lessons. And so there's some things they're going to do, right? Regardless of
Mm-hmm.
what I say, right? Teenagers,
Yeah.
right? And young adults. But what you want to do is establish that seed, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you want whoever that she's dealing with, he's got to come deal with me,
Exactly.
right? And so, like we're saying, um, she knows that. So then that's going to help, hopefully it over time that'll influence the type of character that she goes for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she understands that fun and games and, the superficial, how I see things is
Right.
different than, what it is that I say that I actually want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I want them, when they get to that point, I want the young man to feel he's got to deal with me. So then the two things he'll make a decision on, your brother,
Uh-huh.
is either he's going to get along with the program and he's going to come correct because he knows he's got to deal with me, or he's going to say, I can't deal with her. I got to go on. Right. And then,
Yeah.
those men, they're going to be like the wolf. They're looking for the sheep that's out by itself, right? Not the
Right.
one by the shepherd. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? The one that the shepherd's
Absolutely.
standing by, then them ain't the ones the wolf go by. The wolf
Right.
looking for the one that's on its own, like you and I said earlier, that There's no father figure. There's nobody around. There's nobody that's going to challenge me. Right.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then for her, she's so hung up on me, she's young. She's so hung up on me and the idea
Mhm.
of me, you know what I mean? And us being together, that
Yeah.
she's not looking holistically like, you know, dads would look and father
Right.
figures would look.
Exactly. It amazes me because I talk about communication also in the book as well, as far as communication with your children. And one of the things you always want your kids to do, that's being able to come to you in confidence and be able to communicate with you. Because if your kids can't communicate with you in confidence, then they're gonna make communicate maybe getting wrong advice from somebody else who may not be giving them good advice. So you always want your kids to feel confident and comfortable coming to you and talk to you, because there's so many kids that keep secrets from their mom and dad
Mm-hmm.
and everything. But when you about when you value that relationship, that's spending that quality time with your kids, then they can in confidence be able to come to you and let you know what's going on in their life. Because a lot of things, kids have a tendency to keep their parents uh, out because they already know pretty much what may be said. But even though sometimes you might not, it might hurt you, or you might not agree with some of the things, that you got to be able to suck it up. Like, I'm gonna let her
Right.
go ahead and talk to me, because even though I might get mad, but let me give me a day or two to let it simmer, and then we come back and we talk about what it is that she brought to my attention. So
Mm-hmm.
communication is so vital when you also, as far as dads and their children, and also the father communicate with the wife as well, being on the same page, because kids
Right.
will have a tendency to play one against the other. Well, I'm gonna ask dad if I can
Right.
go out here. I ain't gonna
Right.
ask moms. I know she gonna say no.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's just the classic piece of kids and with parents. You're definitely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's definitely true, brother minister. Is that like you say, that whole accountability piece and the ability of parents then
Mhm.
to get past themselves. One of the things that and my wife and I've talked about this is sometimes parents, and this may even be parents of the past, maybe today, they it becomes again that individualistic society. So everything is about them, right?
Mhm.
So everything gets placed. It makes them mad because it's about them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And you can be disappointed, but when
Right.
you're mad to the point that now you become a part of the problem, right?
Right.
Kids will go back off. People don't want to deal with people that have negative, nasty dispositions. Like I talked
Exactly.
about earlier, it's about confidence, right?
Right.
You already know that, like the Bible verse says, foolishness is, that's a part of being a child now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Foolishness is a part of being a child. So you already know that they're going to do foolish, ignorant things because you did.
Exactly.
We did. I did. You did. We all
Exactly.
did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you already know that. What you're hoping, obviously, is they don't do anything that's going to be long lasting. Right. That you
Mhm.
can't, they can't learn from and move on. You don't want lessons that you got to keep relearning. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that stick with you that you can't get rid of.
Exactly.
But you already know. So there's going to be very little that they're going to do and say, like you say, that you haven't either done or said or seen done or said.
Right.
Right. So it shouldn't really be a major shock to you. The
Yeah.
platforms that they do it on may be different with the technology, but the notion of it's the same. And so versus I would implore parents that versus that being angry and stuff, because that becomes self-centered. That's about you.
Mhm.
Right. And so what you got to do is you got to transfer that to, okay, let me make sure that there's a lesson, because you got to keep in mind that this is a person I'm grooming that's not always going to be around me.
Right.
He or she has to go out into the real world, and eventually they'll be a parent at some point if that's what their calling is. Or, I mean, again, they're just going to be an adult citizen out here. And I
Right.
want them to learn the lesson. And the lesson is not about how I feel about it as much as my disappointment, in the situation. And then what lesson do you need to take from this so that
Mhm.
you can apply it, going forward? Because that's really what life it is. Life is dynamic. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it keeps moving forward. And so, my daughters, they're going to make mistakes. That's virtually a guarantee. They're going to make
Mhm.
mistakes in that. What you want them to do is have that base, and then like you said, as a parent, gain their trust and their confidence that
Mm-hmm.
they can come to you, right,
Right.
with anything, and it's not going to be a judgment zone. I'm not there to judge it, because
Exactly.
listen, again, I mean, you're from where you're from. I'm from where I'm from.
Exactly.
We've seen, it's very little we ain't seen
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
been around and things like that can happen. Very
Yeah,
little. It's very little that should knock your socks off.
exactly.
You
So,
know.
like I said, you don't want to get to that position when your son comes to you, Dad, I got a baby on the way.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, you be like, what? You got a baby on the way? Or
Yeah.
Dad, I got a drug problem. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, but like I said, sometimes you can see different patterns in your children if you spending time with them and talking to them and when
Hmm.
they're in trouble. And like I said, like I said, when you're involved in their lives and they feel comfortable and confident to come and talk to you, they'll let you know, because like I said, kids deal with uh, problems as well in their own magnitude and form. We think, oh, they don't have any bills, that they ain't got nothing to stress about. They also have their concerns and troubles as well. But we as a
Absolutely.
parent got to open our eyes, just be willing to listen and to see for ourselves what was what. You
Yeah. Yep, no doubt about it. And you got to remember being a child. I think one of the things that's always amazed me as I became an adult, and now that I'm heading quickly towards my middle years, how much we forget about being a child. It's amazing.
know?
It amazed me when I was a child. Like you know, like I said, it wasn't like it was that long ago. As long as it may seem, it really
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago. But it's
Yeah.
interesting how we forget that in the mode of um, chasing hustles and bills and concerns about this, concerns about that, um, and how we
Just trying to
miss that.
find your career path or niche.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
we do all these things and we forget about what it's like to be a child, and to be
Yeah.
young, right? And to have concerns that aren't about, Capital One and whoever else might be calling you looking for money. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so you got to focus your mind back in on that
Hmm.
um me at so one of the things I want to make sure with my girls is me at 39 and them at as teenagers, or even now 10, 9, and 8, is different. That's that 2020, right? I can look
Hmm.
back on things at 39, of course, but when I was 9, you know what I mean,
Right.
it was what it was, right? I had my concerns
Exactly.
then. um and so I think encouraging fathers to recognize that and to embrace that. There is a cool factor in that. I think sometimes we're influenced by, but or have to be influenced by, but there's a cool factor to being a great dad and to being there for your child and thinking long term, right? In terms of what you're doing for your family when you're there and you're supportive and not worrying about the noise, right, that may come from naysayers or those that may be envious, jealous, petty,
Hater.
have bad temperaments, all that type of thing. You can't let that derail you, right? Because that's part of what being. And it's funny, we deal with all those things in business, right?
Hmm.
In business, we deal with folks that are jealous, envious, two-faced, hateful. We deal with all these things in stride a lot of times. We know how to
Yeah.
recognize that, but then when it comes to these personal relationships, we let that be an excuse. Yeah, I don't hear anybody saying because they were hating, you know what I mean, I stopped doing my business.
Exactly.
Why'd you stop? Because folks were hating. You know what I mean? Like that ain't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
that
they were
don't make
mad or
sense at
because they were
all.
being petty. We don't let
Yeah.
that stop us in anything other than our personal business. Oh
Mhm.
well, the ex-wife was being petty, or she was doing this, or she said that, and that made me mad, and whatever. Okay, I get all that, but
Right.
you have to be thinking, like you say, beyond,
Long
because that's
term.
how kings are thinking. Beyond. They're not just thinking about what's in front of their nose.
Yeah.
And so, if you're going to call yourself one, then you got to be one.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, it's about long term, longevity, and just knowing who you are. A lot of people have an identity crisis within themselves sometimes, and they don't even realize it, that you know um, part of the problem is not other people, but sometimes the problem is you because you're
Mm,
trying to figure out who you are. And once you
right.
take time out, in which I had to do, find out who I am and be able to love who I am.
Hmm.
And I can't expect nobody to love me if I don't love myself first. So
Mm,
that's where everything starts. Everything starts within you.
right.
And so it's easy to point the finger at other people and who this and that, but everything starts within ourselves first.
Yeah, no
And
doubt
that's
about it. No doubt about it. Brother Minister, as we wrap this up, man, it's been a tremendous dialogue. I think people can learn
mm,
and really be inspired from, this conversation. What are just some things, just, some parting words that you would have for those that are, our fathers and, those that are soon to be fathers. There may be, those of you that are listening that, congratulations, you got children on the way. You're going to become a father. um, those are going to become grandfathers,
mm,
so that, their children have children on the way, and that
yeah.
sort of thing, great grandchildren, for some. um, and then, for the ladies that are listening to this, what's just some overall, I guess, advice or support that you would share, to encourage us all, as we wrap up, 2020, and we head fast towards, 2021.
Well, I would say just to be consistent. Don't make any promises that you can't keep, and just to be able to have have love in your heart and try to get closer to God.
Mm,
That's very vital because, like I said, without Christ, it's, it'd be impossible to do a lot of things.
mhm.
Without God in your life, just you gotta trust and lean on God to be your friend, uh, to be a help and support. It takes the strength and power of God to help you be able to accomplish these things.
Yeah.
And you know, just know that your labor won't be in vain. All the things that you sacrifice that you make, it won't be in vain. Just put God first in your life
Yeah.
and let Him do the rest. That's all.
Yeah, and have that grounded, something has to ground you, right? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
that is, something has to ground you. There has to be something in your life that, helps guide your morals and your integrity. You know what I mean? And how you view the world, for sure. No doubt about it. Minister Isaac Wilson Jr. is our guest today. He is the author, uh, of The Challenges of Fatherhood, a self help guide for fathers looking to improve their role in the lives of their children and their families. We thank him so much. There's going to be a link to the book there in your show notes. So check that out. Support, um, Minister Isaac Wilson, by purchasing the
Yes.
book, The Challenges of Fatherhood. It's available at Barnes and Noble as well as at Amazon. So those links are going to be in the show notes. Check those out. Click there when you get done listening, and go ahead and purchase the book, and communicate with, Brother Minister, and let him know that you heard him right here on the Minding Your Business podcast.
I greatly appreciate that. And like I said, this is my fourth book. And like I said, just a blessing to be on here. Thank you for having me on here, my brother.
Yep.
Appreciate it. I would love to come back
Yeah.
and be on here another time if you like.
Yeah, no, I love to, man. I love to, brother. I appreciate, your transparency. I appreciate, sharing your thoughts in author form, in manuscript, and, tell us real quick about the other books that you've got, because we want to make sure, when
The
can people
other
go and
book,
get those as well?
yeah, those are on all of the outlets, book outlets, online book outlets. The other book I talk about the devastations of abuse amongst women.
Mm,
Um, the book before this one is called Misdefining Love. That's a book on love and relationships.
okay.
And the my very first book uh, was titled "The Insecurities of Men."
Mm,
Insecurities of Men.
right.
So all of those books are on all the the
All the
online
different
books.
platforms. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yep, dig that, minister. Dig that. So we want you to check out the Challenges of Fatherhood and the other books that Minister Isaac Wilson Jr. has put out, and that's our guest today. Just tremendous, man, fabulous job. Listen, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time to join me on today and engage in this conversation. There's so many more angles we could take this conversation. Of course,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
things we can't get to in X amount of time, and that's why I'd love to
Yeah,
have you come back, brother, so we can engage in and some more dialogue and look at how we can share some things organically and transparently that will help others in the community to again just be help us all be a little bit better. We all learn
yeah,
from this. It's not a
yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
high pedestal just because okay you're there living and you married the woman and you there all of us have those challenges, man, and we all need to be
Mhm.
supportive of each other um, when those opportunities arise. So thank you so much for that.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
no doubt. Best wishes to you and your family, personally and professionally. And
Uh,
love to be a resource if you find that I can. Definitely, communicate with me and love to be able to connect. And like I said, we got to have you back.
oh, yeah, absolutely. I would love to come back, man. It's this, like I said, this is fun just being able to share. And, like I said, just to be able to open eyes up to, like I said, the Bible says that people perish for the lack of knowledge. So, like I
Yeah,
said, you'll be surprised that some things that people just don't know. And, you be assuming that they would know certain things, but some people just don't know. And I think that's just a blessing to be able to share
yeah.
and inform people.
No doubt about it. So, thank you so much, brother minister. That's Minister Isaac Wilson Jr. There in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Joining us here on episode number 220 of the Minding Your Business podcast. And listen, make sure again, check me out, champronbrooks.com. This was a busy week in real estate. I'll tell you that. Some great things going. I'm very excited about some new deal opportunities. And I'm going
Mhm.
to have a webinar I'm going to put together as we gear up for 2021. So look for that invitation in December. It's going to be at no cost. I'm going to share, things, some information on what I do in real estate and how you can get involved in real estate, all the different forms of it. As we
Mhm.
go into 2021. So that's going to be, over 17 years experience. And I'm going to share it from a
Yeah.
little bit different angle, MYB, because I've got a little bit different angle than most people coming out of the banking industry,
Mhm.
where, I was, at all, pretty much all different levels within banking. And so I'm going to share it from that perspective. So it won't be completely financial, but I'm going to share some practical steps that you can take to get involved, to be, again, just a little bit better in 2021. So listen, as I always end the show, there's three things that unite us. No matter what side of the tracks you come from, no matter what area that you come from, there are three things that unite us all. We all want to be a little better for ourselves, a little better for our families, a little better for our communities. And if we can do that and have that mindset towards each other when we interact, we can make this place just a little bit better. So, Champ Ron, the Mind Your Business podcast, episode 220. Go forth, be great.